can never be apart.
JBN, we keep you informed. Dalton Harris, the star that almost never was, Part 1. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items. Born and raised in poverty, Harris overcame the odds to win the popular Digital Rising Stars title in 2010. He was 16 years old at the time. But shortly after, misfortune set in. A string of hard times followed him like a lost puppy, and the young artist was left to fend for himself, in living conditions that were unbearable despite winning $1 million as part of his Rising Stars prize. What happened with the earnings from the Rising Star competition is a story that Dalton didn't want to share. He dropped out of Edwin Hallin High School at the 10th grade, lived alone in a dwelling that was bereft of amenities such as running water and electricity, and was lost to the world. But all that changed when he met music producer and promoter Donovan Germain, the chief executive officer at Penthouse Records. After 2 years of association, Harris, who was by this point 19, got into Kingston College in 2011 and graduated with 6 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate (CSEC) subjects, which allowed him to enter the school's sixth form program. Harris said, "It was a progressive experience in terms of getting used to certain things," in specific reference to his move from Edwin Hallin to KC. "I remember Mr. Germain dropping me off on my first day at KC, and my pants were up here. I had on this combat-looking shoes. And when I walked into the school, everybody said, 'A Dalton Harris that or not,'" he recalled. "And then, me getting used to town was another matter. With town kids, if you say something wrong, the whole school would say, and I was wondering what that was. So the first time I experienced that, I was afraid, because it was the first time I was going to an all-boys school. So when school was over on the first day, I run go home. Didn't even know Kingston, but I was through the gate and jumped on a bus," Harris said. The young artist, who still holds the record of being the youngest Digital Rising Stars winner, repeated the 10th grade at KC, and after a stuttered start, he emerged from the ruins to improve his academic performance, and eventually was one of the top performers in his class at the end of the year. The 6 CSEC subjects that he aced have projected the sanguinety Northwest Clarendon-born youth into a comfort zone that hitherto was a dream. "I am the first male in my family of 22 brothers and sisters between my mother and my father to go this far with education," he said. He said while he was at KC, the teaching techniques paved the way. In terms of teaching, the teachers are very consistent. They listen to you, and that is really good. Learning is interactive and flexible. KC's teaching strategy is very commendable. It was really hard at KC in the first part. You had some days that I didn't want to go to school. At KC, hype is a big thing among the students if you're popular. They knowing me when I got there made it a bit uncomfortable, because I didn't want to go to school and have people constantly coming up to me and saying, "Are you this and are you that?" It's a bunch of boys and you're going to have this ego thing. It was uncomfortable at first, but I got to understand it, move past it, got to ignore it, and eventually stopped, Harris said.
On a big man level, you go buy your shoes for 900 US. And you rent up here.
The teachers and other workers never really paid much attention to that, because I guess of the level of professionalism that they exercise. People even came to me for autographs, all in fun, he added. Jermaine, the man whom Harris credited with saving his life, described himself as Dalton's father, mentor, and role model, who is proud that he has taken his education thus far. "I always watch Rising Star to see if I can find a youngster whom I can work with. When I looked at him, I said, this youth sounds like him has some talent, so I decided to work with him," Jermaine explained. He used to take a bus or a truck from Clarendon and come to Kingston. What endeared me to him was that he would leave, didn't know his way, and would walk from 3 miles or Agnes Park Road to come to the studio at Balletta Avenue. It showed that he really wanted to be somebody in the industry. He would go down in the night, and by next morning he would be back up again. It showed that he had ambition, Jermaine said. There were deep personal issues associated with Harris though, and Jermaine soon had to get involved. He was carrying a lot of personal baggage based on his socialization, I decided to do some work with him and Headline Entertainment got him into a boarding house somewhere in Avondale so that when school time came up, I would get to see what he was doing academically, Jermaine explained. And that is part 1 of Dalton's story. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.